All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday night. We have NFL Week 1 here. Grudge matches abound. No, it's not me battling Belman. It is, of course, Jared Goff and Matt Stafford going against each other for the third time. We have a regular season victory that went to Stafford. We have a playoff victory that went to Goff. The two players that were traded for each other are going tonight in Detroit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Nothing exciting on the inactives list, so we're good to go there. But we do have a few new developments across the teams. We're going to talk about them and get everything underway. But I must remind you all, the clock is ticking. You have Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football and a primetime slate with Monday and Sunday Night Football. Promo code KICKOFF gets you all of Stochastic's content for $1. Now, see, you could have gotten this before, but you can still get in the Sims for the primetime slate and both primetime games. Utilize that and take on your old pal EMac, who dropped some $1 heads in the DK lobby. Username EMac, because I've been around forever. There's no numbers after my name. It's just username EMac. Gotcha for the head-to-head with the Motor City Kitties, and then with the primetime slate. Bring it. Bring it. Belman, what's going on? It's been almost 48 hours, a little over 26 hours since we did a show.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but yeah, the Browns got killed. The Guardians lost. I finished right outside the bubble in all my GPPs. I almost choked to death before this show. Things are going great over here. How about you?
Oh, good times. Good times. Well, let's see. I think the Seahawks were winning last I checked. Since I am now. Oh, good. That's 26-20. That is key. It's important because I'm down here in a new TV environment. So being in Florida, I haven't really figured out what channels I get. I was going to go watch the Tom Brady announcing debut, and apparently that channel's CBS or whatever wasn't carrying the game because the Tampa game is on. Are we still using these bleeping archaic rules here? I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I figured I'd see enough highlights, though. Overall, there were a lot of lowlights for DFS today, though.
Yeah, very much so. That's why I thought I was going to sneak in there, but a couple guys really got going at the end. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Rashad White, was good. So yeah, there was a lot of disappointments, but also guys to come through, which is only natural on a normal NFL Sunday.
Indeed. It's just one of those things where NFL just feels like a kick in the nuts all Sunday long. There's nothing that feels good about it, like ever. And it's one of those where I went a little over my skis because I grinded tickets all off season. So I maxed out the DK $20 best ball, and between that and week 1 contest tickets, I have $4,000 in play this weekend. And then I bet like $1,000, and then I played another $1,000 chasing over. Like, this is a big week out there. Woo! Little flush here, little flush. So hopefully something goes well, at least tonight. But let's dive on in here to the fun. We're going to kind of cover the pass catchers and the quarterbacks and the running backs separately. We're going to go team by team, and then we're going to talk overarching theory. I got you guys covered for kickers, for defenses, and I'm going to drop the link to the free NFL primetime showdown contest in here. I see somebody asking about FanDuel. I do the rankings literally for the entire player pool with an eye on DraftKings and FanDuel, and I call out if one is just don't play them on this site or move them up on this site. So for those of you looking for your FanDuel content, you got that right there. Plus, you get all the Stochastic tools for just $1. Promo code KICKOFF. You can't get in for $1. I don't want to hear people bitching about which side I'm not talking about. Let's go, Matt. Up to the tippy top here. We're going to start with the away team first. We have Matt Stafford coming back to the team that drafted him. He is now 36 years old. We know he's got shoulder issues. We know he's got elbow issues, but he's healthy right at this moment. Always a threat for the 300-yard bonus. He does not run. For those of you that are looking to consider his over half a yard rushing prop that is out there on quite a few sites at plus 100, you need to understand that over his last 6 games last year, -1, -4, -2, -1, -2, and 2 yards. Yep, those are kneel downs. Over his last 41 regular season games, 66 carries for 117 yards. Don't chase that one, even at plus 100. Matt, what are your thoughts on the former Motor City Kitty? And what do we do now that Nakua and Cup are healthy?
Yeah, so as is kind of the trend at the beginning of the season of these showdown games, all really good teams playing. So there's a lot of good options on both sides. As we get later into the season, that won't necessarily be the case, but tonight it certainly is. And starting with Detroit, or yeah, starting with the Rams. No, excuse me, because we wanted to talk about the away team first. There's a lot to like here. As far as the receivers go, I'm on team Cooper Cup over Puka this year. You know, it's obviously slim margins there and could be completely off, but Cooper Cup's healthy this year, and I expect him to be the main guy as long as he is healthy. Now, maybe it's like a 1A, 1B type situation, and they're both just really good, or they're both good, but neither of them is amazing. But right now, for me, I'm on Team Cup. He's a priority for me on this slate. Again, both teams should have success moving the ball down the field. It's all about who gets the touchdowns, and I think Cup is in prime position to be one of those guys.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where the lean is going to be with a lot of folks here. You can play both of them. There's no reason you can't. It just comes down to the optimal factor here, and playing both of them sort of cuts you down just a little bit from having an apex game, meaning if you're playing both of them, you probably want to bring along Stafford here, but that gets really tricky for one of those three to have that apex predator like score. Bring the other two along who both need to outperform their numbers, and you still got to get your other spots right. Hell, it's showdown on a massive slate. You got to get every spot right in these cases, but it just makes it a little tricky if you're going to play both of them. So I think playing one of those receivers is reasonable. Will I allow lineups to play both? Yeah, absolutely, because there are ways they can get there, or they can provide one hell of a floor, and then maybe you get lightning in a bottle with your other spots, right? So it's one of those that is kind of interesting on how to play it out. It feels safe having both of them, but we want to understand, man, we got to shoot for the moon to be a solo or at least a low duplicate finish in these contests.
Well, that would be my counter to your point about how getting there is harder if you use like Cup and Nakua to get there. But everyone realizes that, so less people will do that. And on these showdown slates, it doesn't take that much. Like you said, you probably want to bring Stafford along with them, and you probably do. But what if they each just catch 10 balls, but neither of them scores? Like showdown slates, you got to think about getting weird, not like off the reservation, but you got to think about getting different somewhere if you're playing these large lotteries.
Indeed. So we're going to look at our paths towards that as we branch out across the two of them. So key things that you want to remember with this duo is, prior to Cup getting injured last year, so I guess kind of 2 seasons removed, 2021 basically had the greatest wide receiver season in the history of the NFL. And I'm a huge Jerry Rice fan, and this was the greatest season. Even when Rice led the set at one point was the receiving touchdown record in the a strike shortened season, if I remember correctly, and he didn't play any of the strike games. So it was just phenomenal. Targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns, just everything was off the charts. Then Nakua comes along last year, 5th round pick. He had played at the University of Washington, wasn't really cracking the lineup there, ended up going to BYU. He had one of his brothers, if not 2 brothers, were playing at BYU. He had a couple cousins there, so that was where he spent 2 seasons, ended up being a 5th round draft pick. Kind of caught everybody off guard last year. It wasn't until we were heading into week 1 that everybody's like, oh my God, this guy might start. And suddenly he had an amazing season, setting all sorts of rookie records. And I think he finished as the wide receiver 4 or 5. I can't remember specifically now, but we know all about them. What we don't know about is what exactly is going to happen with Demarcus Robinson, because after 4 years with Patrick Mahomes and a couple years before Patrick Mahomes when he was in Kansas City, then 1 year with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson under center, Robinson really hadn't done much. Yes, he was infamous for doing well in the first and last games, it seemed like, in some of his seasons, but disappeared in between. Last week, between weeks 12 and 16, he had 34 targets, 21 receptions, 319 yards, scored a touchdown in 4 of the 5 games in that stretch. Does the trend continue? That's what we want to know tonight. He is going to be 30 later this month. That's kind of a negative. We haven't seen him sustain success before. That's kind of a negative. But no Van Jefferson, and Ben Skoranek is not with the team. He is now on the Pittsburgh practice squad. So that opens things up there for Robinson. He is really competing with Tutu Atwell. Probably get a couple gadget plays, maybe a quick hit in the slot or two, and then rookie Jordan Whittington. But it looks like the team loves Demarcus Robinson. What are your thoughts on him? Because he's pretty reasonable on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, love is a strong word for Demarcus Robinson, but at 5K, I think he's going to fall on, by the wayside a little bit on this slate, just because people want to get up to the studs, and the 5K range is just hard to get to. We're seeing that in his ownership, only projected to be 15% owned. Big play upside. I like players like that on Showdown slate. So I don't think he's like a good points per dollar play, considering we don't know exactly what his role is, and he's like 5K, so there's opportunity costs. But again, it all goes back to wanting to get different on these Showdown slates, and I think he's a perfectly viable way to get different.
All right, so that is winding us through the receivers. We still have pass catchers. We're kind of grouping them together a little differently for the show format, at least for Sunday Night Football, since we don't have the morning show covering this like we do for Monday and Thursday Night Football, and the occasional Friday. There's going to be a lot of fun days here of NFL. So at the tight end spot, Tyler Higbee's out. So it's going to be Kobe Parkinson, who is listed first on the depth chart. That may or may not indicate he's a decent pass catcher. He's an adequate pass catcher, but he's been in that Seattle rotation for a couple seasons. He's more noted as a blocker. He's huge, but he does have capable hands. All we need is a little bit of a red zone love, but we know that McVay does all sorts of crazy shit near the goal line with receiver handoffs and running back swing passes, etc. So while Parkinson is a salary saver and he is the tight end one, he's kind of more of a blocker. He is backed up by Davis Allen. So the other thing you need to know over the last 3 seasons where Stafford has been the starting quarterback for the Rams, he doesn't go to the tight end. For touchdowns, he just doesn't. Higbee had 11. Davis Allen had 1 last year in his lone season. Bryson Hopkins, none in 12 games. Kendall Blatton, none in 6 games. So really, if you look in that period, it's been Higbee or bust, and that works out to 3.5 touchdowns per season for Higbee. So touchdowns, this isn't really part of Stafford's plan. Doesn't seem to be part of McVay's plan for Stafford. So that's worth thinking about. But Colby Parkinson as a punt, question mark?
Yeah, I think it's a fine way to go. Like, it's not a great matchup on paper, but I think he's cheap enough with so many studs that, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he's projected to be, 20-some% owned, 3,200 with a roll. Fine with it.
All right. Reminder to everybody, we have an 8:20 kickoff. You also are going to want to take advantage of the promo code kickoff. You can get Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and the 2-game primetime slate for tonight and tomorrow. That is promo code kickoff, just $1. You get access to all of the Stochastic tools. We've been talking about this all week. Time's running out, but it's not out yet. So promo code kickoff gets you into all of the good stuff. I am building out simulating my lineups now. So see, anybody can do that even at this point in the game. So sign up with promo code kickoff. Village Bar, actually, let's answer this question before we get to the Rams running back. He says, I've got 2 sim lineups with an ROI over 110. How do I choose between them? So Matt, if you have 2 lineups you love, what starts putting the ticks on either side of the ledger for you till you ultimately land on one team?
Man, after this past week, I don't know if that's a good question for me to answer, but
that was a trick.
I know.
Village Bar didn't know. He didn't know, and I walked right into it.
For me, you use the projections. You see if one projects a little bit better, significantly better, then I'm using that one. If not, then, play both, or it's just a feel thing. It's hard to say on a night-to-night basis, like one lineup over this lineup.
So I would say, which one makes you feel a little bit better? Do you have a favorite player in either one? Meaning, do you want to make a stand with one of the players? Or is there somebody you're just like, God, even if this guy beats me, so be it. I don't want to play him. Start looking at some of those, because when you're looking in the rearview mirror after the slate, what's going to piss you off the most if you lose? Right? It's not if you win, because you don't give a shit if you win. You won.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
going to make you second guess yourself? Right? So that's kind of where I would land. Now that's sort of a, a nebulous answer here, but when you're looking at two really good lineups, start playing it out. What's the game script? What do you think the game script's going to happen? Does that align with one of those two lineups, right? Are you counting on someone having a crappy game? Maybe Nakua is a little more hurt than we think, even though he was a full practice participant all week, right? Maybe, something else is there that can help you decide between the two of them. And we're going to use this to jump into the running back situation. Perhaps Kyren Williams is not getting the workload that he had last year because they have a third-round pick spent on Blake Corum, who is coming off the national championship game against my University of Washington Huskies, go Huskies, where he, is now, I'm guessing, 70-30 split. So this is kind of interesting here, Matt. So they have put Kyren Williams as the punt returner. I'm thinking that's just kind of a sure hands thing. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Cup or Nakua or somebody else at that point. I don't think that's really that big of a deal for that. We've got Corum, I think, is going to return kickoffs. So, it's like they're both going to play a little bit of special teams. Corum is 10 pounds heavier. It's a little bigger, but not, he looks bigger, and probably mass-wise, the way the body's proportioned, he's probably better between the tackles. But we're flipping coins here. Williams is good in the passing game. I suspect he's going to get all the high leverage touches, but they can't run him into the ground like they did last year with all those games of 90% snap participation. I think over half his games he was like 85 or more, and then he was 70 or more in most of the rest of them, and he missed 3 games due to injury. So how do you feel? Does Corum kind of worm his way in on this one? What happens with Kyren Williams? What does the gut say?
Yeah, I'm not like overly concerned with the punt returning stuff. I think it is like more of a hands thing. But I do think Corum has a role. Like, maybe it gets bigger throughout the season, but I mean, I think they have higher draft capital on Corum than they do Williams. Now, Williams has proven that he's very, very good at the NFL level, but that was 1 year. Corum, comes in kind of like Kyren Williams 2.0, very similar skill sets.
Mhm.
I think that he has a role at 4,800 is a little bit more than I want to pay, but he's not going to be owned. So I think he's definitely like in play on this slate, if nothing else. If I were max entering 150, I'd be over the, 8.9% that he's going to be owned, maybe 10, 15%, nothing crazy, but I think he's good. And I think he could have a bigger role than people think.
So we have a good question here. Would you use Isaiah Williams as a dart throw? So this is going to be DK to fit in all of the studs. So there's a few $200 players. You got Isaiah Williams, Tom Kennedy, not our CEO Tom Kennedy, but Tom Kennedy of Detroit is near the bargain bin price. You've got Antoine Green, who is down there as well at a bargain price, and you have Hunter Long, who is also at $200. So of all of them, I would go with Williams, I think. But you're looking at maybe a target, 1.5 targets. I think everybody I mentioned, I'd be shocked if combined they get more than 3.5 targets. So in some of these situations, especially in DraftKings, where you have these low, $200 and $400 players, accept the 0, hope they're on the field a little bit, and then maybe you get lucky, right? We saw that way back in the day with James Prochet a few times, right? You're looking for someone that could do something. Byron Pringle fit that bill, 4 or 5 years ago on a primetime game. So you're kind of looking for something like that. I think it's okay, but just sort of accept make sure they're active. But you're hopeful you hear their name called, even if they're just blocking or something, right? You have to assume not a lot of volume. But yes, anything seems to be in play as long as someone is active. If they're inactive, that would be contrarian as hell, but that's not going to help you, right? I think that's an okay route to go. Anything else from the Los Angeles offense? We'll handle special teams as a third section here.
Yeah, I kind of think Puka Nacua is going to be like lower owned than he should be. Cooper Cup's cheaper. I think he's going to be more popular. He's healthy, but like Nacua is also really good. So just keep that in mind.
All righty. So on to the Motor City Kitties. So at the Jared Goff. Okay, so in 2022, Goff got the Pro Bowl for the third time in his career. He got two of them early when he was with Los Angeles. This is his age 30 season, so he's still kind of relatively young as far as quarterbacks go. Not inexperienced, but still on that younger side. So everything is kind of going in his favor. Last year, he actually was the same or better in most of his counting stats. Also had a better record at 12-5. Didn't make the Pro Bowl, but if I remember correctly, he got like honorable mention to the NFL first team or the honorable mention to one of the NFL teams. In any event, he's been good the last two seasons, even though he doesn't have the hardware there. A lot of people like to call him a game manager. I don't think that's really the case. I think he is, not as dynamic as a lot of quarterbacks, but he just continues to get the production, plays within himself, not really a threat to run, more so than Stafford, but, not really a threat to run here, but he is accurate as heck. So over his last two seasons, so this was his Pro Bowl season and then last year, 66.2% completion rate, 4.9% touchdown rate, sack rate, skosh high, 4.3%, but that's fine. 1.6% interception rate, very acceptable. So he's pretty solid. Last year, the Rams had the 20th rushing DVOA and the 22nd passing DVOA. They can be exploited both through the air and through the ground. Goff is kind of the conductor back there. We know he plays well, better in domes, as do most quarterbacks, but he tends to, in Stafford as well, tend to have, that is a huge factor for them. But I like Goff. Then we get into the receiver. So I will hand this over to you. Josh Reynolds, the veteran, is now in Denver. We have Jameson Williams. We have Khalif Raymond. And then some other, I forget the other guy. Oh, yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Only a top 5 receiver. What do you have for the hands team here?
Yeah, Amon-Ra, the Sun God, top 5 guy, no doubt about it in the league. Great matchup here against a Rams D that really struggles against number 1 wideouts. Amon-Ra feasts against everyone. I mean, he looks like the top overall play on the slate. It's not really close. If Cooper Kupp or Puka didn't have the other one with him, then maybe it'd be close, but it's not. So I think you want to do is get as much Amon-Ra as you can in the captain spot. He's coming in with a little bit of leverage. We'll see if that actually plays out, but he does look like the top overall play on the slate. I don't think it's particularly close. After that, my next favorite pass catcher from Detroit is easily Laporta. Kind of hard to fit, depending on who you use at captain. But again, the Rams are not good against the tight end. He's really good. We saw a bunch of tight ends fail today, namely the guys in the Buffalo game. But Laporta is, in that same tier with those guys, and he's in a really good spot. So, yeah, I like Amon-Ra, obviously. I like Laporta a lot. After that, I'm fine with Jameson. I kind of like the Demarcus Robinson call more, though, and he's a little bit cheaper and lower owned. So, yeah, I mean, for me, like choosing between those guys, I like Robinson, but they're pretty similar. Wouldn't be shocking at all if Williams took a step forward this year and, made a couple huge plays in this game. But it also is, highly possible that he doesn't do that. So I'm not like going out of my way to get to him, but I'm fine with him. Khalif Raymond is cheap enough where he's, fine. Isaiah Williams, 2K, do your thing if you need a 2K player.
So Isaiah Williams, I'm going to play him to round out that question. He is on 4% of my lineups. We have him projected for 2% in the utility slot. So I have him there. I'm not playing him in my cash game lineup, but there are still a couple left in the DK lobby username EMac, both for the Showdown tonight and for the Showdown, the Monday primetime slate. Just $1, but pride is priceless. So you think you're better than me? Bring it. Bring it. And then we'll battle again next Sunday and next Sunday and next Sunday. It's kind of a thing. It's team free money giving back to the community. But if you guys read my article, you'll have a pretty good idea of who I'm building in my cash game lineup. It just takes a little guess there. Just a little guess. Let's see. What are my key notes here? Laporta, you hit on just a touch. Key things you want to know about him. Had one of the better rookie seasons of all time. Still fell short of Mike Ditka. Yes, that Mike Ditka had 1,076 receiving yards as a rookie tight end way back in the day when it was a 14-game season. That's impressive in and of itself. He also had 12 touchdowns that year. So he was rookie of the year. He was in contention for MVP that year. That was in a rushing heavy league. So Laporta had 10 touchdowns last year. He had, I think it was 889 yards. I think fourth all time as a rookie. So let's not besmirch what Laporta did. It was pretty awesome. So he is the clear second option. Amon-Ra just dominates the target share. There's, I mean, what else are you going to say? He has, let's see, 28.8% target share last year, also including the playoffs. The only other player who averaged more than 3.6 targets per game was Laporta. We mentioned, just wrapping this up, that Reynolds, Josh Reynolds Craig Reynolds still there, the running back. Josh Reynolds is in Denver. But you are going to look at Jameson Williams kind of as the next guy up. For running backs, sort of split backfield here. You've got David Montgomery and second-year man Jamar Gibbs. Last year, each player missed 3 games where the other got to have the full workload, and you saw both of them do quite well when the other was out. No surprise there. Expectations, Montgomery probably 13 to 15 carries tonight, 1-2 targets. Something a little bit lower, Gibbs is probably 10 to 13 carries and probably about 4 targets. They try to get Gibbs in space more. However, he is capable of running between the tackles, and Montgomery's actually good in the passing game. We saw it in Chicago. They just have a different role for him here. So when either one's out, they're doing great. But when they got to share the workload, makes things a little tough. We will likely see Craig Reynolds for a touch or two in there, but hard to see him getting anything inside the 20s. Probably not even inside the 30. So he'll get a few wasted not wasted, low leverage opportunities there, giving the other guys a break or giving the team the other look. If you were choosing just one, where do you go, price included?
Who is that between?
The two, Gibbs and
sorry, yeah. Man, I think it's Montgomery. More touchdown equity. He's cheaper. It's tough though. That's what makes Slade hard. Like, there's a lot of those like similar type plays, or guys eating into each other. Cup and Puka and Gibbs and Montgomery are the two main ones. That's why Amon-Ra looks so good, because he doesn't have that. So for me, it's Montgomery, but knowing that Gibbs certainly has more upside because he's involved in the passing game. He's much faster and he's much more big play capable. So Montgomery, but that's only a price and touchdown thing. If you want to prioritize Gibbs, I got no issues with that.
All right, I'm just looking here, seeing what I've got 0.7% of the Lions in the captain spot for defense. Let me see here. The Rams, I have 0.7% as well. I'm playing 150 lineups tonight. It looks like Amon-Ra is going to be my main captain. I'm going pretty heavy around the skill position guys. So I'm liking where things are working out here. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to adjust this. Again, you guys see what Jordan's doing on the screen. That's the Sims tool. Use promo code kickoff. You get that for $1 for the rest of week 1. So you get that for tonight's game. You only got a few minutes left, but you also get it for Monday Night Football. So
if we were doing a baseball show right now, we could be talking about how Pavin Smith has 2 homers and 7 RBIs off Justin Verlander and it's in the 3rd inning.
Oh, well, that's bad because I picked the under for this game as part of one of my parlays. Lindquist,
that laugh went away quickly.
Yeah, it did. Very sad, but I did avoid Verlander. Sorry, pal. You hell of a run. hell of a run, but it is kind of over. That's old, recognizing old in that one. Sorry, I forgot where I was. So I'm kind of going with Laporta, St. Brown, a little bit of Gibbs, both Rams receivers, trying not to get too much of the quarterback. But I'm also coming in here to set my dupes because I just want 2 or fewer dupes. So let's see how many lineups that's going to kill. And then on favorites and then refavorites. And let's get ready to rumble here. I'm going to, you know what? Little gust from the gods there. I'm just going to upload these as is. So quickly, let's talk about the kickers. So we've got 2 rookie kickers taking the field tonight. And I love to dive into this deep and see what the heck's going on. So for Detroit, you've got Jason Bates, or pardon me, Jack Bates. He is coming from the UFL. That's one of the alternative leagues there. He started out after high school. He was a soccer player and a football player in high school. He went to Central Arkansas before moving to Texas State. The Central Arkansas, he played soccer. He went to Texas State to be their kicker. He was just their kickoff specialist. So he transferred to Arkansas. He was really, really good at it. Transferred to Arkansas. He wanted another chance to kick field goals. Guess what? They made him the kickoff specialist again, but he did win all SEC as the kickoff specialist. He never attempted a kick in a game until he was with the UFL. His first kick, Matt, 64 yards. Nailed it. 3 total kicks in the UFL of 60 or more yards. I'm sad that the sites haven't thought ahead to give us 6 points for a 60-yarder. Sadly, the 60-yarder is only worth 5 points on both DraftKings and FanDuel. I went and looked because I'm like, oh, here's a chance where someone can get it in the dome, and this guy's just got crazy legs. So he was 17 for 22 in the UFL, 77% conversion rate. So that's kind of interesting. So we like him, but the Rams also have a rookie kicker. That is Josh Carty, 6th-round selection out of Stanford. He was the starter 3 seasons at Stanford, 72 of 73 on extra points. That's a 97%. Now college is a little bit different extra point than the pros, but he was 51 of 60 on field goals. So that's 85%. He was a finalist after his junior year for the Lou Groza Award. Lou the Toe Groza, a long time. I don't even remember watching him play, but a long time NFL kicker. And then he was a preseason All-American heading into last year. So unproven guys, but kind of exciting, kind of spicy. I think you can put them in your cash game lineups. Anything about the kickers, and then quickly on the defense, because we got 12 minutes to go here. On the defenses, both teams are pretty good at limiting sacks and turnovers. Not spectacular, but pretty good. Given the Detroit the home field advantage, if this was in Los Angeles, we'd give the Rams the advantage. They're well down my rankings. You guys can see that in the free article on the homepage. But the defenses are in play, but they're not that great.
I agree. The kickers and Ds are always in play for me on Showdown slates. On this one, I like the kickers more, but such a high total. It's hard to want to like jam the kickers, although I'm thinking about it because I think both of these guys have big legs and are going to be sent out there in a dome for long field goals. So all of a sudden, if each one of them kicks, a couple long ones, like they're really good at their price point. But there's just opportunity cost in roster spots with these guys if there's as much scoring as the field predicts, or as Vegas predicts. 53-point total in this game, or 53.5, like that's high. So if it goes under, then I like the kickers a lot. If it goes over, they're going to need a bunch of field goals, but certainly in play for me. And then the Ds, I think you're just playing to get a little different here. Even if there's points, if one of them scores, we saw at least one kickoff return today, couple pick sixes. So I mean, you're playing them because they're cheap and to get weird, but they're not optimal or anything, at least on paper.
That's actually a good call out. So Alex Baker, awesome. Guess remember site used to be named after him, multi-millionaire on DFS, also pretty good at poker and venture capitalism. And he's a huge WNBA fan, and he's putting all sorts of WNBA props in the marketplace here over at Odd Shopper, which is with a part of Stochastic. It's just the sports wagering arm here. You guys are missing out if you are not tailing him on these wagers. I didn't see it because I don't have DraftKings available to me in Florida. I only have the Hard Rock. I can still bet WNBA player unders, but I saw some people mentioning on Twitter that DraftKings is using less and less unders on the WNBA. Why does that matter? Well, the unders are usually where the advantage is. It's also an advantage if we can choose both sides. If you're only getting one side of this, you're getting screwed. We're already getting screwed because, you know, the man and synthetic hold and all of that. But you guys want to follow Alex in there. You got Alex, you got Lindquist. We brought on 6 or 7 other people augmenting Matt Kajeski and Ben Rossa and Laffy. And you got Lindy just putting out bets nonstop. Speaking of bets nonstop, it's Aton. That guy can't breathe without handing out a parlay. And then what else? Oh, I'm missing Josh Engelman and his fun models. He's out there in the pick'em streets and home run wagers doing a bunch of stuff there as well. And again, we brought on 6 or 7 other people from outside the industry to be under that umbrella. So check that out. You're going to hear more about that. But in the meantime, be smart about your wagering. Be smart about your wagering. Wagers I like tonight, over 53.5 yards for Laporta. I was on that as well, but Lindquist has called that out as one of his key ones. And then I did a ridiculous parlay. I think I was taking, I will call that up in just a sec here because I got to do that on my phone, but I want to tell everybody what I did. I can't log in now that we're on Zoom here. So I throw it to you. Who are you terrified of not having as we are about 10 minutes away from lock here?
I'm playing one lineup yet, and I haven't said it yet, so I'm not positive on that question. But you know, as of right now, I think the answer is Goff. I don't think I'm going to play Goff here.
Okay.
You know, just because there's so many good plays. It's the only reason. I might end up playing him, but it's either him or Gibbs because I'm not going to play both of them.
All right, so real quick, here was, and I would round robin some of these or pick, I did a few of them over on the pick'em sites in 2s and 3s. Demarcus Robinson over 28.5 receiving yards. Jamison Williams over 36.5 receiving yards. Matt Stafford, I took an alternate line over 249.5 passing. I took the Lions to win on the money line. That was minus 240, but I was okay putting that in my parlay. And then I took Kyron Williams at over 13.5, Sam Laporta at over 52.5. I got him there. I think it's 53.5 now. Jahmyr Gibbs at 22.5 and Khalif Raymond at 18.5. So the Gibbs, the Raymond, the Jamison Williams, I think those are numbers that we can get to there. This worked out to 25 into 1,400 because I had a boost as well. It's a long shot. It's an 8-legger, but hey, I don't think it'll. Hey, I have a chance, right? Chip in a chair, as our friend Gundak used to say. Chip in a chair. Debating removing kickers. I would not do that. So to finish that thought off, when I started talking about Alex Baker here, he has done extensive modeling. By the way, what was he in college? A math major, right? Who wants to major in math? Well, Alex Baker did. So he was using Sims before, wink and a nod. Sims were out there in the public. How do you think he made his millions here? So he's very good at this analytical stuff. And he has determined that, surprisingly, kickers are still undervalued with when looking at expected ROI in the showdown format. They're actually better than the defenses. They don't have that wide range of outcomes like the defenses do when they can score 2 touchdowns and get 5 sacks and 3 turnovers. But point per dollar, the kickers tend to be overlooked. It's a little easier to get 4 field goals and 2 extra points than it is for 2 touchdowns from a defense. So that is something that you want to think about there. I would not remove the kickers from my lineup in any stretch. Let me see who. I think everybody picked up all my team free money contests. There's still 2 left out there in the primetime slate, but you got 8 minutes to go grab those. Username EMac. I'm going to tell you not exactly what my cash game lineup is here, but I ended up not using the kickers, surprisingly, tonight. I finagled things around, so I am using Demarcus Robinson and Colby Parkinson in my cash game lineup. I do have Amon-Ra St. Brown as my captain. You guys can fill in the blanks with who I played otherwise. I am okay not playing both quarterbacks. I'm okay playing one quarterback and not the other. I'm okay playing both kickers, right? There's a lot of ways you can go in the Showdown cash games, and I like to be just a tiny bit different. I hate duping everything. Occasionally, there is time to dupe or to play what we call a prove it game and just see if people are going to go down that path. I always throw out, my team free money things because I like a nice mix of players that I'm going against here. And if I just post my 20 lineups, I get most of the regs there in DraftKings, and a lot of them end up playing the same lineup. So it's kind of annoying. So I like to have a little mix. Plus, I like to go look and see what Seth has done or what Melissa has done or what Sotex has done, etc. as they're going against me. But that is always fun. But yeah, don't skimp on the kickers. For perspective, let me quickly look at them here. Let me go over to exposures. Is there a way to sort? But no, but I know their names. So Bates, I ended up having the 44% in my 150 lineups. That is double the field. That is my aggressive stance. So you said you're taking them out. I'm adding, you're giving me your kickers to use here. And then who is the other guy? Cardi, I have 38%. That is also double the field for him. So that's kind of the stand I'm making. I have very little of the defenses. The Lions, I am under the field by 5%. I just have 11% of their defense. And then the Rams, I only have 2%. The field has 13% of the Rams. So that is the path I'm taking because I have listened over time to what Alex has to say, what T McBee has to say, what Greg has to say, all these guys, and kickers tend to be undervalued. So I'm going in with that week one approach. We'll see. If I'm right tonight, that doesn't mean I was right. If I'm wrong tonight, well, I was wrong, but it doesn't mean I was that wrong. It just means I lose my money. 5 minutes to go, Matt. Do you have that secret lineup created yet?
I am close. I've still got, 5 minutes in DFS time. It's forever. So I will have it in by lock. Debating between a couple different ones right now. And we already know how that goes. So it doesn't really matter what I play.
All right. Jordan D. Klein, member chat for 41 months. Jordan has been a member of the Stochastic YouTube. He says, shout out to EMac, the GOAT. And then there's 2 little pictures of me. Can you imagine 2 of me? No, I hear my wife in the next room saying, God, no. If I cloned myself, what would happen? What would happen? Let's see if we got any last minute questions here. Let me slide over to the Discord. I'm sure somehow I missed some because I was on the News God side of things here. No, just some people showing some screenshot. Ooh, nice one. Perilous pulled in $3,000. Good for him. Good for him. Or her. I think it's a him. Nice little tweet there about Baker Mayfield and comparing him to Deshaun Watson. And that's got to be fun for some fan bases.
I think I'm going to log off now.
Names.
Having connection problems.
Is it the factory of sorrow or the factory of sadness? I always get that confused.
Why not both?
The factory of sorrow that creates sadness, or factory of sadness that churns out the sorrow. We have 4 minutes left, so if you've not put your lineups in yet, you definitely need to. A good caching percentage or an ROI. So if it probably ROI. So let me get back to, so if I look at, I'm just looking at my lineup since we're short on time. Now, the simulated ROI is very wonky in showdowns. That's because it's all or nothing. It's a Ricky Bobby time. Okay. Top heavy, tippy top heavy contests. So you're looking at lineups that have 200% ROI. That's a function of the game. That also means you're going to lose your ass for quite some time before you ever realize that. So I would say maybe anything over 125 is probably realistic of like a min cash or a 3x kind of thing. I'm just going from gut here. But if you run the sims, just kind of run them and see what comes out. it's going to be slate dependent. It's going to be sport dependent. It's going to be, it's just whatever it is, but see where they are at the top. And then the other thing you can look at is the cash percentage. So a 30% cash percentage, meaning you're going to min cash. Okay, that's pretty good, but that's not even 2x anymore, right? That just means that's the cash. We have the next column that talks about a top 10% finish, right? Not a top 10 finish, but top 10% of the field. So you can see that those numbers, you're looking at between 1.5% and 2%. Yikes. I mean, that's how often I'm going to have a top 10% finish. Yes, because it's Showdown. If you go look at some of the other sports, baseball especially, you can get that number up higher. And then the simulated ROI is kind of wonky. Not a great reference point, in my opinion, on Showdown slates, because it's assuming a long time horizon. And we have what, 63, I guess, technically 63 Showdown slates, plus then the playoffs, and depending on how you want to count the Thanksgiving days, etc. Let's call it 70 large Showdown slate. That's a lot, right? But not in the grand scheme of time, right? We got to wait till from when the dinosaurs were around to now. That was more than 70 slates, right? It's a long time. It's math. And the math says we also have 1 minute until lock. Please, God, let me have uploaded my lineups.
So to answer your earlier question about who I'm afraid to fade, it's all the Lions but Laporta. I came into this show really liking the Rams in this spot. I feel like the Lions have gotten a ton of love this offseason. The Rams almost beat them at home in the playoffs last year. I like the addition of Corum. I like the Rams in this spot. So I'm going full Rams onslaught. I'm playing Laporta as my one Lion. I think, Amon-Ra will be crazily owned as he should be, but I'm getting different on this slate. He's the guy I'm afraid the most of fading.
All right. I'm afraid of whoever scores multiple touchdowns not being in my lineup. That's really all I got. Because I'm playing 150, right? I've covered all my bases. I have every possible combination, Matt. You're just playing one. That's degree of difficulty is high. I'm playing 150, right? We just ching. Just gonna cash that. All right. That takes us up to lock. I'm looking forward to going and watching this game, since I have not watched 1 second of NFL today. I have been writing tomorrow's article, catching up on things today, and making wagers and pick'ems and trying to use all the boosters I have on the various sites. So we want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Hit that like button before you slide on out of here. Again, it's NFL season. We're doing this all again tomorrow. Content starts on this channel at 9 a.m. You're going to get baseball and NFL. Enjoy it. Have a good one. Jordan Klein, you have a good one too. Sometimes you got to get high before you got to get low. Matt Belman, you can find him on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Matt. You can find me at EMac DFS. That was a Ted Nugent. Sometimes you gotta get higher, right? Stranglehold. Come on, it's such an appropriate song these days. But the Motor City Madman, 10 Fingers of Doom. You can find me at EMac DFS. With that, gamers, good luck.